I believe the veil is thin, that our Angelcestors are always nearby. I'm your host, Bernice L McFadden, and this is Angelcestor, the sacred space where memory meets the mystical and storytelling becomes ceremony and celebration. Each episode is an offering. Words spoken for those who no longer speak but are never silent. This is love work. This is ancestor veneration. This is Angelcestor, the podcast. Welcome to the first episode of Angelcestor. I'm opening this season by sharing a story of my own, an experience that has never left me and continues to shape how I walk through the world. This is Through the Fire, my Angelcestor story. The first thing I want to tell you is that on September 27th, 1967, I died. It was a chilly autumn evening, the day after I'd celebrated my second birthday, when my mother, her friend Julia, and I climbed into a black Cadillac and set off on a road trip that would end in smoke and flames. Infant car seats did not exist in 1967. In 1967, you held your children in your lap, and if they were big enough, you just sat them in the seat like any other grown passenger. On the dashboard, under the glow of the radio, was a metal ashtray hidden behind a door with a lip. Most cars had ashtrays in the armrests, too. The Cadillac was no exception. It was those ashtrays that got me hauled into the front seat because I was opening and closing the lids, and the clacking sound was raking my mother's nerves. Had the car not had ashtrays, I would have been left in that back seat, and I surely would have died on impact. It was late. The night sky was scattered with clouds, and Interstate 94 was dark. Headlights flashed in her side view mirror as she engaged the turn signal, and then bam! A car plowed right into the back of the Cadillac. The impact was so hard, the rear end crumpled like paper and then promptly burst into flames. The fire was hot. It was like being in an oven. It was like being in hell. Red and yellow flames charged through that ruined Cadillac, roaring like a pride of lions. There was so much thick black smoke. It burned our eyes and seared our throats. My little ankles were caught in the slither of space that separated the driver and passenger seats. My mother tugged to free me, but I was stuck as tight as a cork in a bottle. Meanwhile, the flames had devoured her feet and were making a meal of her calves, licking at her thighs, melting her skin like the wax candle on my birthday cake. Unable to take another second of pain, she turned me loose, jumped out of the burning vehicle, and streaked away, desperately trying to outrun the flesh-eating fire. But that made things worse, because the wind became an accelerant. She might have run until her entire body was engulfed in flame. But a voice in her head shouted, "Vivian, stop running! Vivian, drop and roll!" And Vivian did exactly that. She rolled and rolled on that black asphalt until the flames were dead. I used to wonder who the voice belonged to, but now I believe that the voice my mother heard was not just one voice, but a chorus of voices belonging to a legion of ancestors whom I call Angelcestors. flesh smoldering. Vivian limped back to the burning Cadillac, reached in, grabbed hold of me, summoned all of her strength, and yanked me free, tearing the skin around my ankles in the process. I still have those scars today. Julia was in shock. A passing motorist stopped and pulled her from the car just before it exploded a second and final time. They transported my mother and Julia by ambulance to the hospital. I was whisked away ahead of them. The first police officers on the scene bundled me into a blanket and sped off to Seaway Hospital in Trenton, Michigan. It is unclear if my heart stopped beating in the police cruiser or in the hospital, but at some point I was clinically dead for a few seconds or minutes before I was resuscitated and placed on a ventilator. In the hospital, the doctor, nurses, and the police officers all circled my bed, silently watching my tiny chest rise and fall with the forced air. "I don't think she's going to make it," the doctor mumbled. But I did make it, and my mother made it. We both survived, and that is a marvel because, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, in 1967, there were 50,724 motor vehicle fatalities, and we were not among them. I wholeheartedly believe that our lives were saved and spared by those divine ancestors who are always watching and walking with us. They are our invisible protectors and our guiding lights. They are the Angelcestors. Another name remembered, another life honored. Thank you for listening to Angelcestor. If something here stirred you, carry it, share it, speak it, subscribe to it. And if you've got a story to tell about the ones still walking with you, come through by submitting your story. I'm Bernice L McFadden. Until next time, stay in